All right, so today we're going to look at graphing equations in slope-intercept form. We're going to write and graph linear equations in slope-intercept form, and we're going to model real-world data with equations in slope-intercept form. So an equation of the form y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope, b is the y-intercept, is in slope-intercept form. Okay? The variables m and b are called parameters of the equation. Changing either value changes the equation's graph. So if we look at m plus b, whatever m is, for example, if it's 2, then 2 would be the slope. Where b is, so if b would be positive 6, then that's where the y-intercept, where the line would cross the y-axis. Okay? All right. So this says to write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line with a slope of 3/4 and a y-intercept of -2, then graph the equation. Well, we start with m equals mx plus b. We plug in the slope. We know the slope is 3/4. And we plug in the y-intercept, which we know it's -2. So that would be y equals 3/4 x plus a -2, or y equals 3/4 x minus 2. And that would be our equation in slope-intercept form. Now we need to plot that. So we know that if we plug 0 in for x, we get -2 for y. We know that because the y-intercept is -2. So we could go over to our graph and we could go 0, -2, and put our point. Okay? Then we know that our slope is 3/4, which is rise over run. So we go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we go over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, put our point, and then we can draw our line through those 2 points. And that's how we would graph it. Okay? All right, so write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line with the slope of -4 and the y-intercept of -3. So remember, all you're doing is y equals mx plus b. So then you're plugging in what you're looking for, okay? So, or what you know. So I know the slope is -4, and I know the y-intercept is 3. So that would just simply be y equals -4x plus 3. All right. So when an equation is not written in slope-intercept form, it may be easier to rewrite it before graphing. So for example, we are to graph 3x plus 2y equals 6. Well, we could write that into slope-intercept form by getting it to y equals mx plus b. Well, we take a look. We know we need the y by itself, so we're solving for y. So we would subtract 3x from both sides. 3x minus 3x is 0, so that leaves me with 2y. And then 6 minus 3x is just 6 minus 3x. We could rearrange that to help us look more like the slope-intercept form and put 2y equals -3x plus 6. Don't forget to carry the sign with the term if you're going to move it, okay? Then to get y by itself, we have to divide both sides by 2. And when I do that, I get 2 divided by 2 is y. When I divide both sides by 2 on the other side, it's -3x divided by 2 and 6 divided by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and we would leave the fraction of -3/2x, because that would be my slope. Now that is in slope-intercept form. Now I can graph that. I know my y-intercept is 3, so I go 0, 3, and I put my point. Then I know my slope is -3/2. So one of my directions has to go negative. So rise over run, okay? Remember, negative on the rise is down, or negative on the run is to the left. So if I choose to go down first, it would be down 3, and then I would go to the right 2. and put my point. And then I simply draw a line between the 2 points. Okay? All right, so this one says graph 3x minus 4y equals 8. So try this, come back, and let's see how you did. Okay, so we could rewrite this. We have 3x minus 4y equals 8. I would subtract 3x from both sides. That would leave me with negative 4y equals negative 3x plus 8. Then I have to divide both sides by negative 4. Well, negative 4 divided by negative 4 is y. Negative 3x, I can separate that and go negative 3x divided by negative 4. Negative divided by a negative is a positive, so that's 3 over 4x. And then 8 divided by a negative 4 would be a negative 2. So y equals 3/4 x minus 2 would be in slope-intercept form. Then I would go to my y-intercept, which is negative 2, plug my first point here. Then I would go up 3 and to the right 4. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and put my point there. Then I would draw a line through the 2 points. All right. Now, except for the graph y equals 0, which lies on the x-axis, horizontal lines have a slope of 0. They are graphs of constant functions, which can be written in slope-intercept form as y equals 0x plus b, or y equals b, where b is any number. Constant functions do not cross the x-axis. Their domain is all real numbers, and their range is b. So for example, if we have y equals negative 3, so we know it's going to cross down here at negative 3, and then I just draw a line through at y equals negative 3. Okay? And that's all I do. It's a horizontal line. All right. Now, vertical lines have no slope, so equations of vertical lines cannot be written in slope-intercept form. Okay? All right. So there are times when you will need to write an equation when given a graph. To do this, locate the y-intercept and use the rise and run to find another point on the graph. Then write the equation in slope-intercept form. So for example, I have this graph right here, okay? So the first thing I want to do is look for my y-intercept. Where does it cross the y-axis? Well, it crosses at 0, negative 2. So that's my y-intercept. Now, I need to take a look at where I can go from there, okay? I know there's a point here. So I know I can go up 1, 2, and I can go to the right 1. So that puts my rise over run, 2 over 1, or 2. So now I know my slope. Now that I have my y-intercept and I have my slope, I can put it into y equals mx plus b. So y equals 2x plus a negative 2, or y equals 2x minus 2. So all I need is those 2 points on the graph, and I can find my slope-intercept form equation. All right, so let's take a look. It says write an equation to slope-intercept form. Well, I know my y-intercept is 0, negative 5. So I need to find my slope, okay? So I need to find my slope, and that would be rise over run. Okay, so I go 1, 2, 3 up. So my rise is 3, and I go to the right 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 over 4 would be my slope. Okay? So y equals mx plus b. Y equals my slope, 3/4 x, and my b is negative 5, so plus negative 5, or just simply minus 5. And that would be my equation from a graph. If I had that graph, that's how I can make the equation. All right, so modeling real-world data. Real-world data can be modeled by a linear equation if there are a constant rate of change. The rate of change represents the slope. The y-intercept is the point where the value of the independent variable is 0. So for an example, media since 1999, the number of music cassettes sold has decreased by an average rate of 27 million per year. There are 124 million music cassettes sold in 1999. We are to write a linear equation to find the average number of music cassettes sold in any year after 1999. So we know the rate of change, they tell us the rate of change is decreasing by negative 27 million per year. In the first year, the number of music cassettes sold was 124 million. They tell us that. So we can let n equal the number of millions of music cassettes sold. And we can let x equal the number of years since 1999. So we can write an equation of n equals negative 27 times x plus 24. Okay? Then we can graph that. So we know that the y-intercept is going to be 124. So we would put a dot right smack next to the 125, but just a tad bit below it. And then we know that the slope on this is going to be negative 27 over 1. So we're going to go down 27 and over 1. Well, 24 would take me to 100, so it would be just a tad bit below 100. And I would put my point. Then I could draw my line through the points. Okay? Done. Now find the approximate number of cassettes sold in 2003. Well, in 2003, that would be 4 years after 1999. So 4 would go into my n, would go into my x. Because remember, x is the number of years since 1999. So negative 27 times 4 plus 124 would give you 16. So about 16 million cassettes were sold in 2003. Okay? All right. So here's one for you to try. So try this, come back and see how you did. All right, so let's see how you did. So it's in 2001, full-length cassette represents 3.4% of total music sales. Between 2001 and 2006, the percent decreased by about 0.5% per year. You are to write an equation to find the percent P of recorded music sold as full-length cassettes for any year X between 2001 and 2006. So you could say P equals, we know it's a decrease, so it would be negative, and it's decreasing 0.5, so negative 0.5x, that would be any number year, plus we know that in 2001 we had 3.4%, so plus 3.4. Now to graph that, I know that my y-intercept, or where it's going to intercept the percent of total music sales, would be 3.4%. So right below the 3.5, I would put my coordinate, my dot. Then I know my slope is negative 0.5. So I would go down 0.5 and over 1. So that would put it right below 3.0 in 1 year. Then I just draw a line through it. And then it says, find the percent of recorded music sold as full-length cassettes in 2004. Well, 2004 is 3 years after 2001. So I would put 3 in for my x. Negative 0.5 times 3 plus 3.4, or negative 1.5 plus 3.4 would be 1.9 or 1.9%. All right? If you got any questions, let me know.